All right, today we're going to talk a little bit about Google Drive and how we're going to use that to help students do a presentation that's going to be professional in nature and for a business. And so, first off, we're going to use Google Drive because Google seems to be the premier leader in e-learning free technology that we can all use in the classroom and that everyone can use for free. And so with Google Drive, you can store and modify your files from anywhere. So you can create things on your iPad, and then you can move them to your computer, and you can use all of that from anywhere. And so once you save something on Google Drive, you can access it from any of your devices. And the good thing about Google Drive that we're going to learn about and use is it's good for collaboration. So once you add someone's email address and send them an email and they confirm it, they can also collaborate on anything that you put onto your Google Drive. So if you have a Google Sites, which we're going to use, you can all edit a Google site. If you all have PowerPoint and you all want to edit in PowerPoint, you can all do that. If you have Word and you all need to work on a paper together, you can all edit that paper together. So that's why Google Drive is a really good thing for the classroom, and that's why it's going to work well with this project. It also has a large library of templates to work with, so when you're doing a presentation like this one, or one for a company or a live organization, you have a lot of different templates that you can use, from serious to goofy, that sort of stuff. And it also has a few different aids that you can use for your presentations. And it's really one of the best things, like I said earlier, with access to free premium software. And so before, you needed a lot, it cost a lot of money to have the software that you had with Google, with Word, with PowerPoint, and then be able to have everyone in your office collaborate together. That kind of costs a lot of money. Today you can do it for free. The caveat is that Google has all of your business's information. So whether you trust Google or not is a different issue. They really do provide a good service for us as educators. And like I just said, they give you everything you need to run a business, and it's all in one place, and everyone can use it. And so next we're going to talk just quickly about task-centered learning, and that's kind of what we're going to model this project about, is task-centered learning. And task-centered learning is task-oriented learning, where students are going to get through a task, and that's going to help the learning process. So a lot of times in education, we're in the classroom and we sit and we learn and we learn and we learn, but we don't actually go out there and do what we learn. And so task-oriented learning is when, once we've learned something, we're going to go out there and we're going to do it in as real-world possible setting as we can. And so that usually involves the instructor first. Studies have shown that we learn better as humans if we have an explanation first. And so task-centered learning usually has the teacher showing students how to create the task or do the task, give them sort of a pathway of how to do it, and then they set up like this project a way for students to learn. And so it really does involve knowledge progression, where students start out with a certain knowledge base, they do a certain task, the instructor goes over that task, they show them what they did right, show them what they did wrong, and then the students have another chance of going back again and trying that task. So it's basically, like we said, a knowledge progression, and it's really the best way to do it is with the instructor, and the instructor having a solid feedback loop. And so they do one task, the instructor comes back, comments on that, and then the next thing that they do, the instructor comes back on that. And then we want them to get to a point where they're autonomous, where they can do all of this work by themselves, so they're in a real world experience. So we want to get them to the point where you're a coder. Now you can go, instead of just writing code to write code, you now can sit in a business meeting, listen to what they have to say, and then take that and put it onto a website. And so that's basically what task-centered learning is, taking what we've learned in the classroom, putting it out there in real life. And so with this project, it's going to be for a e-learning entrepreneurial class, where students are learning about how to run a business, how to start a business, and how e-learning works with that. And so a big thing today is having a website, having an app, having something that other people can connect to access your business. And that's actually one of the most important things today. And so with this, we're going to show students how they can how to create a website from scratch, basically not with the coding, but with how a business wants a website to look, certain things they want on a website, certain things they don't want on a website, and that's what the purpose of this is. And so it's to create a professional looking website using Google Sites, and then we're going to present the website in a professional manner, and then we're going to include a professional written report on the highlights and the reasoning for the things that we put in the website. And so this project will help students learn, use Google Sites. It shouldn't take too much for them to learn about the Google Sites, and you don't really want a project like this to be focused on the software, but as an addition. And so the software should help them, and the main focus is going to be taking what they've learned during the class about entrepreneurship and e-learning and creating websites and apps and all that, and putting it all together for one final presentation and website that hopefully in the next couple years they can do themselves in a business setting. And so phase one, we're going to introduce them to really how businesses put together websites, the things that they want on there, the things that they don't want on there. We're going to take a look at some websites, how they were put together, and we're basically going to walk through students through the project. So we're going to show them some websites, we're going to talk about some businesses, talk about some best business practices, and kind of the purpose of having a website and having an app. A lot of people think it's just to put your name out there and your product out there, but there's a lot more science to creating an app or creating a website, and we're going to introduce students to those things and give them some real world examples of how that looks on the internet, and we're going to walk through how those companies got to that. Then we're going to gather some research. We're going to have the students gather research. We're going to have them identify 3 websites and just talk a bit about why they think they are the way they are, and have students get a better idea, kind of reverse engineering the website. So they're going to take a look at it after the fact and then kind of think of, well, why did this website get to this point? So kind of reverse engineering the website. And then the last thing through phase one is we're going to have the students use Google Drive to brainstorm their ideas. And so that's just going to be having a Word document. And that's part of what you do in the professional world, is that you're going to have your ideas together and you're going to have to kind of bounce them off each other, and it's not always going to be at work, or it's not always going to be face to face. So you want students to be able to write down their ideas clearly and get their ideas clearly across, and once they do that, you want them to be able to collaborate with each other. Phase two, we want them to put together a rough version of the website, something that they can kind of present to you and show you that they're on their way, they know what they're doing, and they kind of have some ideas where you can bounce some ideas off them. And as the instructor, this is part of the feedback loop where you can say, this is a good idea, this is a bad idea, and then they're going to have, like, and part of them showing the website is a rough presentation. And so you're going to talk to them about the presentation, some things they can add, some things that they shouldn't have in there, and you're really going to want to work with them on the way they talk, the way they handle themselves. And then with the physical copy of the presentation, you're going to want a good not handwritten, but that has basically how they put things together and the reasoning of why they put things together. And so with those 3 things, we can kind of move forward to the next phase where we're going to want to finalize everything. And so in the 3rd phase, we're going to have our final website put together. We've taken all the feedback, we've gone through the meetings with each other, and we've gone through the feedback, and we've got a final website put together here. We're going to have one live run through of the presentation, and we're going to video that just so we have a record of it. So if someone wants to look at it, they can take a look at how well they talked, how they looked, and how their presentation went. So sometimes when we're up there standing and talking, we don't really know how it turns out until we've actually watched it. So it's a good idea to take a video of yourself and watch yourself when you know you're going to be giving a presentation, and then we're going to finally go through that written copy of the presentation. And so at the end, we should have a professional website, okay, and we should have a written presentation that includes the underlying research and some of the directions that were given to us and how we got to this website. And then the presentation itself, we're going to have to come to class looking professional. So we're going to want a shirt and tie, pantsuit or a dress for the ladies, whatever they feel is professional. But we just want to make sure that we look good so we have a good understanding of what it looks like when we're standing in front of a business. And so I think with this presentation and this project using Google Drive, we're really giving students a chance to learn what it's like in the real world, learn what it's used to like use technology that they use in the real world, and it's really going to give them a chance to work together. And so I really like Google Drive because for free it allows you to do that. And so as you can see, you can take this sort of project idea and use it with any sort of business idea or organizational idea, where you can use Google Sites to have easy collaboration. Let's go back to that real quick, where you can collaborate easily with the group. You can they have a large number of templates that you can use. You can have access to the software from everywhere. And like we said earlier, you had to pay a lot of money to get this sort of access to software with this amount of storage, and now you don't have to. And so I think with this project, the introduction, the feedback loop, I think the task-oriented learning will give students a really good idea of what it's like in the real world and how to use a software to get a complete task. So thank you very much.